What should I make today? Come on, I gotta have something. I finished Digimon. You know what? Slap that on. Slap it on there. Alright, here we go. Let's go. Ah, yes. Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth. One of my personal favorite games of all time, and also the only game I have over 400 hours in, because it's the only game I have attempted to 100%, and I have almost done just that. And while that was my main goal, I also went back through the story after a very long time, and I ended up having one of the best experiences. So, I decided why not make a review on this since I love the game so much. And here we are, so let's begin. So the story starts off in a chat room with a bunch of other people that use avatars that look like they were supposed to be on a cereal box. There are two people who you will actually remember in this chat room, one being named Akino and the other being called Blue Box. The conversation going on seems to be about hackers and a program they use called Digimon, which are described as extremely advanced hacking programs. After a while, a Kroger mascot-looking robot breaks into the chat room and says he is Mr. Nabbit, and that he is the mascot for a virtual world known as Eden. He also claims that he is a hacker, saying that if you don't come to Eden tomorrow, he will fully hack all your social media accounts just because he can. After he leaves, everyone in the call immediately leaves because they were actually smart. But you, Akino, Blue Box, decide to meet up in Eden with Mr. Nabbit, because that's totally a good idea. After this, you choose which gender you want, and your character, which gender you want your character to be, all that, and you put your name, because you choose who your character is, like any normal game. Anyway, you head into Eden, but you don't know how to get to the area Mr. Nabbit said to go to, so you decide to ask around, and a random guy wearing a generic hoodie tells you how to get there. You go to the place called Kowloon, and while there, you meet a red-haired girl named Nokia, yes, like the phone, who yells at you, she tells you she's annoyed, yells at you for being late. You meet Blue Box, actually named Arata. You are then met by Mr. Nabbit, who installs a Digimon capture program and leaves, and everyone freaks out because they have this program forcibly put into their account, they're labeled as hackers. So Arata leaves and goes up ahead, so you go after him for no reason. Instead, you find a white-haired boy named Hugo, who I could describe as a snowman because he has buttons, everything. He kind of has the snowman look. He gives you a starter Digimon because he's basically the tutorial, and knowing people who like cute animals, they're probably going to choose Terriermon, because why not? You then go looking for Arata inside of Kowloon and find him at the end of it trying to activate an old exit terminal. And Nokia shows up again because she can, and before you guys leave, a strange creature attacks you, and you fend it off until Arata can get out. You all can get out. He turns on the terminal. He gets it working. And after it's activated, you and new Nokia and Arata escape. But right before you get out, the creature eats you. But you still log out of Eden and wake up in the middle of the road, where a crowd forms around you. Suddenly, a car pulls up in front of the door, opens, and a yellow-haired lady in the driver's seat. She tells you to get into the car. For an opening of the game, it's pretty good. Plus, it gives you an idea of how the story is going to play out, and I have probably left out some stuff, but that's because I'm trying to make this as brief a summary as possible. At the very beginning part of the game, and there's a lot to unpack here. There's probably a ton I missed. I might add it in post-editing, whatever. There's a lot I missed, so just a warning. Still, I like the opening to the game. This game has a very good cast of characters, and although they're definitely not perfect, they are still written well, so I'm gonna list, the members of the cast that I personally like the most, and that are, integral to the story. First, we have Kyoko Kuremi, the lady in the car at the beginning of the game. She is a detective who runs the Kuremi Detective Agency, and also is my favorite character in the game. She is calm and collected, and actually is helpful in the story, since she is a pretty good guide. I would say more, but that would spoil a very well done reveal, so I'm gonna say, we like Kyoko, we like Kuremi. She is my favorite character. That's all. Next, we have Nokia Phone. She is an energetic and hot-headed and slightly annoying at the beginning. She's basically your generic, anime kind of idiotic, but still kind of fun to be around. Anyway, but she grows and actually becomes definitely better. She becomes less annoying, and I start not having pain when I see her on the screen and hearing her voice. And she's actually becomes a pretty good character. I did enjoy her character by the end of the game, which is a good thing. Then we have Anata, aka the Edgelord, who is a geeky hacker with previous experience and somewhat traumatic past, but unlike most Edgelords, he is actually well-written. He's a well-written character and is fun to have on screen. I actually liked his arc and everything. He is incredibly smart when it comes to most things, but he is still a kid, like almost every single other character in the game that are not adults. And because of this, he struggles with getting past his own mistakes and his own kind of regrets, mistakes he made, that he feels like he could have done better, which means he's also easily manipulated, and he does get manipulated by the villain towards the end. There's kind of a redemption thing, but I really did like him at the end. He's an edgelord that I actually enjoy, just as a character. He's a good one. And then next we have Yuko Kamishiro, aka I guess with an eating obsession on par with Homer Simpson, who starts off having trouble showing emotion and having an obsession with food, as I mentioned before. She's actually grows out of this trope and becomes one of the best characters in the entire game. Similar to Kyoko, she is calm and collective, but far more secretive and shy. But she genuinely grows and becomes one of the best cast members and my second favorite character in the entire game. That's all I'm going to talk about for the characters, because there'd be major spoilers. I'm going to say one more thing about Yuko. She also has some of the more interesting quests in the game, because she's trying to learn about people. Although by the end of the game, she actually develops a personality and everything. It's just genuinely fun to watch, and you get to see from the beginning how that growth goes. So I just found it fun. The game has two main places for you to explore, the first being Tokyo and the other being the virtual world Eden. In the real world, you can buy items and take quests, since it's basically supposed to be the hub, and in Eden you can do some of the same things with added dungeon crawling. So it's simple, but it's good. The tone of Tokyo is very lighthearted and perfect, and peaceful. It's Tokyo, there's not much craziness. But Eden, on the other hand, may look nice, but it always seems uneasy, and the music adds to that in a well done manner. And speaking of the music, the game's sound design, such as walking, interacting with objects, or the sound effects for combat, are all okay and work for the game. But the very best part of the sound design is the music, which is both well composed and fits the game perfectly. The game's music was composed by Masafumi Takada? I don't know how to pronounce it. who made all the music for Danganronpa and also helped with the music for Super Smash Bros. So you already know he has to be good, right? Well, listen for yourself. This is one of my favorite OSTs in any game I have played, and because it's that good, I'm gonna link in the description to the. I'm gonna link it in the description to the video. I'm gonna link the entire OST. Basically, I really like the game's music. The gameplay, you know, the gameplay fits the music and everything. The gameplay is turn-based mostly when it comes to combat, with some twists like combos, which have Digimon work together to increase damage, buffs, or healing. Also, all Digimon have a unique skill with their own animations, so the gameplay is pretty good, but it's nothing special. But I still like it. It's entertaining, and also, there's a lot of Digimon, and there's a lot of unique animations, so you're not you might get bored of somebody, you can always have a new Digimon, and they'll have something unique to them anyway. So it's good. I like it. This game is pretty good, but, it's a good game, but it's not for everyone, you know, it's definitely not for everyone. It does have some issues, such as frame rate on the Switch, which is what I played it on, is 60 if you have it in docked, but it fluctuates between 60 and 30, on handheld, which is what I played it on, so it can sometimes look like it's 2 frames. I've seen it go down really low. It was still fun, and the puzzles are not what I would call puzzles, they're more like just move something from point A to point B. There's not much complication, and even some of the puzzles are just defeat an enemy and unlock an area. But otherwise, everything else is pretty okay, and I would very much recommend this game to you if you like RPGs. The game's story is very decent and gets extremely good by the 10th chapter. So if you play, at least get through those first chapters, and then decide whether you like the game or not. I'm gonna say this. Get past the first 10 chapters. If you do, you are going to love the rest of the game, because it has a very, like, decent story. Is the best story I've ever heard? Definitely not. Is it in, like, one of my is it a definitely good one, though? Yes, and I just like the game in general. That's what you're getting from me. So, yeah, goodbye. I'm finally done.
So, Nico, I gotta ask you a question. It's a pressing matter. When is Dog 7?